Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Rule of Two Review. This is Rob. Today, Mr. Iwata gets to keep his job for at least one more year. Okay, so a couple of months ago, you may remember a story that was being reported, kind of making everybody aware that every year in the month of June, Nintendo holds an annual meeting with all of its shareholders where they determine a lot of the decisions and fate of the company. One of the biggest and most well-known things apparently through these meetings was the fate of the president of Nintendo at that current time. And of course, for well over 10 years, that has been Satoru Iwata, somebody who most of us know. And it's been interesting seeing this all play out through this information that came out a couple of months ago. And again, I actually made a video about this at the time, so I will link that below. It was shared that from this, most of the time, Satoru Iwata has been getting really, really positive reviews and positive reception from its shareholders because Nintendo for a very long time was doing fantastically through the sales of the original DS, the 3DS, and of course the original Wii, where all of those systems sold or are selling really, really well. And Nintendo has made literally billions of dollars based on those decisions and the successes of those. Now, starting a couple of years ago, over the course of the past 2 years, I should say, with the initial struggling sales of the Wii U out of the gate, you can say that his approval rating has been dropping. And when I say approval rating, I mean that quite literally, because apparently through these meetings, whenever the shareholders actually kind of cast a vote and determine how it is that they're feeling about the president of the company at that time, they literally, award this person, again, Iwata, an approval rating, just like the actual president of the United States or a lot of different politicians throughout. So it's really it was kind of a weird, unique thing that I really wasn't aware that it happened. A lot of people weren't, I don't think, as well, but this story kind of made it a more public, well-known piece of information. And so what was being reported at the time is that whereas a couple of years ago, his approval rating was like over 92%, so fantastic. And then the year after that, it was down to like 73 or something. And then I think coming up to this year, people were wondering how low it was maybe going to go, if in fact it got lower than 73, because while 73% isn't horrible, it's better than 50% by quite a bit. Basically three quarters. Oh my gosh, I can math. 3/4. But so, even though that's pretty good, it's also a significant dip. It's almost a 20% dip from the previous 92%. So with the struggling sales of the Wii U, a lot of people were curious and wondering, and some even kind of worried about what was going to be happening to Iwata and what his future with Nintendo was going to be. And so just today, June 27th, 2014, that meeting happened and his fate was determined. So as you could probably guess via the news story, ultimately it was determined and decided by the shareholders that Iwata gets to keep his job for at least another year as the president of Nintendo. This is both surprising and unsurprising news, and I both really love and really don't know how I feel about this news. It's kind of an interesting boat, very much a gray area for myself and probably for a lot of you guys in a lot of different ways. Ultimately, I really do like Iwata. I love the DS, the 3DS, I love the Wii, and I love the Wii U. So I think that he's done great things. And when you consider the massive success of the DS and the Wii, not to mention how they also changed gaming and how a lot of other companies and the public perceived gaming is massive. I mean, the cultural impact and the ripples of those decisions were felt big time by everybody, not to mention the billions upon billions upon billions of dollars that they garnered for Nintendo. They were very much trying to create a disruptive strategy, quote unquote, in creating a handheld that had two screens and a touch screen at the time in 2004. Remember, that was not common technology back then. I think that's actually part of what led to it being common technology today. And then the Wii, of course, with its motion control gaming, people didn't think that could be so successful, and it was massively successful. The original DS and the original Wii are two of like the top 3 or 4 best-selling video game platforms of all time. That is how massive and huge those things were in terms of success. And those are very much largely due in part to Iwata. Those were kind of his, made by his decisions. They were his babies, so to speak. And so a lot of the things that he has done as Nintendo's president has been earth-shattering in a very positive and monetarily beneficial way. And so the other tough thing, though, is that lately, even though I love the Wii U, I love it to death. That is a great system. It's got the power that I need to feel like a next-gen system. The controller is fantastic. Nintendo's games are still great on it. I think it's a fantastic system with so much potential and a lot of great software coming up. So I don't think that a poor decision was made with the Wii U, but I do think that a lot of the business and marketing strategies surrounding it, largely due in part to Iwata, have not been great. You might even say some of them have been terrible, especially initially right out of the gate. And that has led to both, some of the issues and the crises that Nintendo has been going through. And it also is kind of what put Iwata in this position to have been teetering on the edge of, does he remain Nintendo's president or does he not? And there are also honestly a lot of decisions and a lot of things that I think Nintendo could and should be doing differently that I know keeping Iwata as president is sort of holding back a lot of those things. A lot of some of the forward thinking that Nintendo used to be known for and not so much anymore because of how they sort of are playing themselves within the industry. So it's really tough to kind of determine, exactly where Iwata should be at this point. So because of that gray area that I kind of rest on in thinking about this, I'm going to really quickly focus on the negative stuff and I'm going to finish on the positive stuff. The problem that I see here is that, leading to what I was saying a moment ago, there have been some really pitiful marketing decisions and some really odd decisions from Nintendo. Not so much lately, but in the last 2 years or so, from the Wii U's initial reveal in 2011 to E3 2012, and then the launch, and that first year with all the drought and stuff, that was really, really piss poor stuff. And that was the kind of thing that, and their aversion to some online things, and maybe the fact that even though I think the system is nice and powerful, maybe a little bit more power would have been a little bit smarter. Securing some stronger third-party relationships, not messing things up with how they handled EA and, potentially temporarily straining that relationship, stuff like that. They kind of has singled themselves out and the Wii U out from some really important aspects and facets and companies of gaming. And I think that that's too bad. And that's where some of Iwata's backwards thinking, I think, has been maybe negatively affecting the company. He's very famously said that he doesn't plan any sort of change or shift in management around him while he remains president. And I've said this a couple of times too. I think Iwata is great, has some issues, but ultimately if he was going to maybe stay and not allow himself to step down, maybe what he should do in lieu of not stepping down would have been to maybe change some of the other decision-making management staff around him. Some other people that can help him as a unit make some smarter decisions here and there, and not so much rely on the people who are around him and maybe used to him and won't say no to him and don't really do much to aid him or help the company make better decisions. They just listen to everything he says, even when it's a bad idea. So, that kind of always bothered me. I really just wanted some acknowledgement from Iwata, maybe that he could see, some of the things I've done maybe haven't been the greatest just recently. Some of the things going forward, we might need to change some things up. Let's feel fun and fresh for a new generation. And when I think about him stepping down, I certainly do like the idea in the back of my mind of maybe someone a little bit stronger-willed, someone with a fresher, more modern, forward-thinking take could actually benefit the company and benefit being in that position for Nintendo. When I think about Nintendo, making some of the decisions more akin to the kind of decisions that like EA and Ubisoft make, and a system that those companies are going to want to put things like Mass Effect and Battlefront on. And even though I think Nintendo's still a better company than Sony and Microsoft, although I do love them, so don't think I'm dissing them, at the same time there are some decisions that those two companies make that I think are better than how Nintendo approaches things. So maybe if Nintendo could borrow from some of them and not have to rely on wanting everyone else to borrow from what Nintendo does, that could greatly benefit Nintendo, not even just monetarily, but even in the eyes of the gamer and in the eyes of the public. That's kind of been sort of what's been hurting them as well. Because I think they have made a great piece of hardware and a great machine, but it's the way that they're viewed by people sometimes that holds them back, or at least the last couple of years, the way they've been viewed, they're almost being held back, and people are sort of feeling alienated from the type of product that they make. And I think that is a huge shame, because I do believe in their product and their software still. So, if someone who was just really on top of their shit and really on top of the business and seeing the current future paths and directions of the industry were to take over that position, it could spell really, really great things for Nintendo going forward. But that doesn't mean that without a person like that Nintendo still isn't in a really great position. Let's look at the factors that probably led to Iwata being revoted into president, getting to keep his job, and the successes that are being seen right now. And that is the fact that the Wii U is seeing unprecedented sales success since its launch. Sorry, guys, I'm fumbling over my words. unprecedented sales success since its launch. That is actually a really hard sentence. So, that's happening. Mario Kart just came out and is doing gangbuster numbers. I think better than anyone, including Nintendo, saw, which is wonderful because that game is amazing. And they're also coming off one of their hottest and best E3s in 4 years, since 2010. It has been a long time since they've killed it at E3. They are right now the talk of the industry. Everyone feels good about them. 90% of folks said that they quote unquote won E3. Everyone feels hyped about Nintendo, even people who aren't typically Nintendo fans. And that's been the most wonderful thing to see. So Iwata has really helped position himself and the company in a good point right now. They're right where they kind of need to be to start showing people and impressing them with the system, with the software coming up, and with the controller. We know that they're working hard with the controller and the gamepad to show this is why our next gen system matters more than the other guys, because it can do things that theirs can't, and yada yada. And of course, the 3DS is seeing unprecedented success in and of itself, so that's not really anything to be worried about. But when you look at those factors and the fact that I still think, even with the decisions that they make that I think are boneheaded, when you look at all the good decisions they make and all the good things happening, to me, that still outweighs the bad. And a lot of those come from the fact that Iwata is the president, has been for over 10 years, and I think is doing overall a good job, even though he messes up sometimes. I mean, everybody messes up. Look at folks like Kaz Hirai and Shuhei Yoshida from Sony, two guys who I like for a company I like, but they mess up. Look at Sony's 2006 press conference. Obviously, they were able to rebound and come back, as was Shuhei. So I feel like Iwata and Nintendo are obviously in the same position. I love what Nintendo's doing. And right now, their momentum is super positive. They've finally taken advantage of the momentum that they had going into E3 to show people, look, we've got a great year or two set ahead of games and to support our systems in. They've recently confirmed, trust us, we're not giving up on the Wii U. We have so much planned for it. You're going to love the gamepad. You're going to love our games and everything happening for it. So I think the number one thing they need to do, if they just strengthen third-party relations and get that stuff happening, maybe by Capcom, perhaps, as a recent video I made might suggest, if they do something like that, they're really going to have buttoned up everything. Because right now, the quality of their software that's exclusive, both first and third party, is great. Get some of the multiplats coming. Keep furthering that online infrastructure. Get a unified Nintendo account between the Wii U and the 3DS. And bam, I think they're in a fucking great position if they get those things done. And Iwata, you are now the man. Now, you are still the man in control and with the ability to make these decisions. People have renewed their faith in you. Don't waste it. Don't squander it. Take advantage of the fact that people have this renewed interest and belief in you as the president and the leader of this company. Your company is beloved by more fans than any other company in gaming. Don't lose that. Don't let it go to your head either, of course. There's a little bit of an ego I worry about with Nintendo, but aside from the ego thing, don't let it go to waste. Take advantage of it and make everyone realize why you guys are the best. So ultimately, even though I think that there could have been an advantage to seeing somebody else besides Iwata take the reins for Nintendo for a while, I'm gonna hold on to faith here. I'm gonna say that I'm actually really happy and glad that he's staying. I'm proud of him. I hope you do the right things and justify this decision, Iwata, because ultimately I love you. I don't want to see anything bad happen to you. You've brought me 4 systems of great gaming and over a decade of wonderful, wonderful gaming and software. And I thank you and I owe you. And I think most gamers out there actually also owe you as well. So things are in good standing right now. Let's hope that this turns out to be the right decision. I feel good for Iwata. I feel good about Nintendo now, better than I have in a while. And I've always felt good about them. So that's saying something. So yeah, that's that. What do you guys think? Do you think this was a smart move by Nintendo and their shareholders? Are you glad to see Iwata keep his job? Are you not glad? Do you think maybe he should go and someone else should step in? A lot of opinions on both sides. I want to hear as much from you guys as possible. Okay, and that's it for the Iwata and Nintendo news for today. So again, congratulations, Iwata. Glad to see you sticking around for now, buddy. Of course, if you like what I'm doing and you like the channel, you can please feel free to subscribe to Rule of Two Review. It really helps me and the YouTube channel out big time because I love doing this stuff, and the more the better. You can follow the links below for the Facebook page where I also post a lot of cool, fun things. Of course, if you like the video, you can like and share it, and you can share your thoughts about the topic at hand below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and of course, I will catch you guys next time.